let's just get into this. You know what I mean?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
Welcome to Minnesota Well Done. I'm Christos, and this is Brian Robles.
Hello.
He's
Robles.
Robles.
If you're not wearing a robe, you're Robles.
Oh, I see. So, nude in another sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nude. Well, yeah, nude.
Yeah.
Brian nude.
Naked, raw.
Raw. Very raw.
Yeah, so you've been at Handsome Hog since day one.
Yeah, so we were actually just talking about this. So been at Handsome Hog since day one, but been in the service industry for, 20 years.
Yeah.
First, I wanted a car. My dad was like, he pointed. He was like, see that area over there?
Yeah.
He's like, go get a job.
Yeah.
He's like, see that area? Go get a job. You can get a car. That's how you get a car.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And walked, about a mile and a half to this super perfect walk. It was like the best walk. 20-minute walk, throw some headphones in, you were great. But got up there and I see Target.
Yeah.
I see Cub.
Yeah.
I see PetSmart.
Yeah.
I see Great Clips. I see Famous Footwear. And then I see Baker Square.
Is this in Sunray?
This is in Plymouth.
Okay.
Plymouth.
Oh, Plymouth.
So I had, so that another part of the story too, military brat.
Yeah.
Moved here when I was, starting freshman year of high school, which is actually a large part of why I serve this way, but before we even get into this, there's so much to be said in what's going on. And I wanted to come here as a front of the house person.
Yeah.
To not only represent, but give insight into why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Where we're thinking what's going on, but also I'm going to step away from this. I'm stepping away from the front of the house, sooner than later here. And I wanted to have this sort of be a love letter in some essence to the service industry and to, being a server. And for anybody who listens to this, who is potentially a younger person getting into the industry, who wants to be front of the house, I wanted to give them an opportunity to use this as sort of not only knowledge, but just a little bit of insight into things that I've seen and how to approach it, but also just somebody who can understand, how it has all worked from every angle, not just a Baker Square, but like a fine dining place, a mom and pop shop, independently owned, family driven restaurant, a chain. There's so many different aspects of restaurants and where they come from. And so I just wanted to bring that to the table and show just some of these younger generations coming in, the evolution of what I consider has happened in the service industry. And to really get into detail about not only how to approach the future, but how to really represent the present and how to also acknowledge the past, acknowledge the things that meant everything, that Mancini's, that, that dinner crowd, that feeling when you go out to eat, like when you go to Manny's. I mean, my grandfather celebrated his, I believe it was his retirement. I'm bad at, remembering memories because I love creating them so much.
Yeah.
But, and just I remember sitting there and like that feeling of like, wow, this is high class, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome. But some of the best meals I've ever had in my life, I've had, sitting on a couch with a paper plate.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting you bring the paper plate and the best meal, because one of the best meals that I ever had, so my second job, so my first job was Los Ocampos over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I turned, I think it was like 16, I was like, okay, kind of got to move on. Like there was no real future at Ocampos for me. So I went to Pappy's on White Bear Avenue. And
so by the way, I moved to St. Paul in 2013.
Yeah.
So a lot of this, like, Pappy's over in White Bear, and stuff like that. Like, I need just a touch more, but I'm also learning about some of these, like, really beautiful landmark historical things that are going on in our So give me insight.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely give you insight. So Pappy's is like an East Coast diner style place. They do Phillies, dipped beef and hot peppers and all that.
They tell you to hurry up.
Yeah, and then you got some guy coming in from Philly where they do, or not Philly, Baltimore, where they do their Phillies.
This ain't a Philly.
Yeah.
This ain't a Philly.
Threaten me with a knife and shit. It's like get out of here. But no, my dad told me it's like the place where it's the Philly closest to Philly outside of Philly, and I would get the whole thing with hot peppers, the giardiniera, the cheese, the steak. And I can't tell you, like, there's not a meal that sticks in my mind quite like that. And it was cheaply made,
Yeah.
And the ambiance was not Manny's, it was not the Lexington, but I'm talking about like serious happiness, and I grew pride from working at the place that served that.
Yeah, and that. Same thing. Like, you get so much pride for where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's why the transition for me into some of these, franchises, because I did the Baker Square, I did the Fridays, I did the Applebee's.
Yeah.
I did those routes. I did the corporate chain mentality, and it felt detached in so many ways. And, when somebody has control over their food, it's like the most beautiful thing in the world. They're putting their soul on a plate. And that's why, that, again, this is happening. I want this to happen because you've had continuously put amazing chefs on your podcast. We have been surrounded by a family of incredibly talented individuals. And sometimes I feel like, even though it's not all like this, there's so many people that care, that the front of the house, there's so many little things that can be done on our side that shows how much we appreciate literally putting all of your soul onto a plate. You guys always joke about specials and shit. I love that stuff. I love that, where it's like, what the fuck, you didn't sell my special, man? Like, and I was like, I'll be the first guy. I'll be like, well, dude, first off, it tasted like shit. Yeah. Mount up and make something awesome. Or I don't have to say that because it was awesome and you did step up. This wasn't just hey, you whipped up a pig of the day or a dish of the day in an hour because you forgot that you needed to do it.
Yeah.
And which happens, and sometimes those are the best meals, but you guys do incredible stuff. And on our side, like, taking it to another level. So you say you get that Philly, say you get that amazing thing that you wanted that may not have cost that much. Was that place the type of place that when you finished your meal, they came up and somebody went and swooped that thing up from you?
Yeah.
Was that the type of place where there was a place to get water?
Yeah.
Was that the type of place that when you went to the bathroom, the whole damn thing wasn't overflowing or clogged, and at least somebody knew what was going on? Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those things where, like, man, we're just giving up.
Yeah.
Today, the bathroom we're giving up on. Like it's one of those things where, yeah, you want to give everything you can on your side to represent you for sure.
One of the main things that I'm so excited about having you on the show is because we had kind of like when we met, we had this, I think it was rather unique situation of me being the one who ran the menu, right? Because we were doing that thing in like the basement of Public, right?
Okay, so just for a background for anybody who's listening, the cool thing is I work for Justin Sutherland and his group that owns Handsome Hog and an umbrella of restaurants at that time.
Yeah.
And during that time, we were in a building that was also housing what we considered our sister store or sister restaurant, which was Public.
Yeah.
Public had a downstairs, which was a speakeasy that had been there for quite a while. And it was it was called the Green Lantern. It was take off of an older speakeasy from St. Paul that people used to love, and they would flash a light on that would say, and it would be the Green Lantern was on, or the green was there. But because that was part of the umbrella, and because I had met Justin by approaching him back in the day about doing art shows and art parties and art warehouse stuff, he knew that I was into events, and he knew that I was into bringing people together. Wherever I've lived, anywhere I've ever lived, I've always created a place that can be a home for anyone at any time.
Yeah.
Because I was from the military. I didn't know whether I was going to move the next day. Yeah. I didn't know whether and I was okay with that, but it was normal to me. And there was no color. There was no understanding of, like, I was just hanging with a bunch of kids. You look at my birthday party from 3, and it's like
Calico.
Oh, I mean, it's a Sprint commercial. Like, it's hilarious. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. They just nail it. But it was, I just didn't understand that. And then, to come out here and be a part of the art scene and all that stuff, through him, I started to get that opportunity to really bring that not only open mentality, but bring that to sort of the restaurants. And so I got the green light to do things down in Green Lantern, to see if we can start to drum up business and that community is an art community.
Yeah.
Lower Town is full of artists.
Yeah.
I pissed a lot of people off because I was a loud dude. I played a lot of music. I piss-pounded stuff, and I had a good time. But, I caused a ruffle. There was a lot of old souls there, old artists that had been there for a long time. And there was a clash of generations. But it gave me insight into an understanding of how deeply rooted art has been in that community for how long. And when that happened, I wanted to be a part of it as much as possible. And so the Green Lantern was an opportunity for us to start to bring more of that in. And there was a show called the Mia Dore Show that was located at Camp Bar. And I remember going to it. I remember how much fun I had. I remember sitting there, and it's essentially a cabaret show, but with sort of, it's got this cabaret show, but it's also got this very personable, you're a part of the show as much, you pay to hear songs sang to you by Mimi while Dee Dee sits in the background and plays the songs and jokes, and they're so good off each other. But the point is that when that sort of stuff is happening, when you've got a beautiful thing happening with a community, you want to keep them there as long as possible.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it allows the artist to feel comfortable enough to be themselves to the fullest degree, to be able to not feel like, we got to fit it in this 2-hour slot. So what if we go an hour and a half? So what if you're back there cooking and you're crushing it and you want to throw a couple more sides on?
Yep.
I'm going to let my table know, hey, chef's having fun tonight. Why don't we kick it back? Let's get another drink and let's chill. He's about to do something.
I'm going to interrupt quickly and talk about the food aspect of that, because when I came into it, right, when I came into the project, it was like the food was an afterthought.
Yeah.
And the food, it was, slightly elevated bar food, and that is not, after what you just talked about, this is what I'm talking about, the unicity of the experience, is that you were trying to purvey art, right?
Correct.
And that's what I deal in, right? Like when you're talking about art to the restaurants, it's like that, those are the people I was raised by. Like this is the, like for me, this is the art. So I had the opportunity.
Everything is art. Everything.
I had the opportunity to sync up with you.
Yeah.
And to allow those people to have the whole experience match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I go into a place and things don't match, it's very clear. It's very this collage of oh yeah, the food's an afterthought, or the service is an afterthought, or even if the napkins are an afterthought, they don't need to be expensive, but if they're an afterthought, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I think we had the opportunity of, like, this is when I met you. So it was like, oh yeah, we're on the same page. Oh yeah, you want me to make another side? Okay, well, you tell me. I would get immediate feedback for all of my dishes, and within a matter of a couple weeks, we had a completely different menu that people were enjoying. And
because I asked the people. You have to ask people what they want. You have to ask and speak to them and listen to them. And we are in the land of passive. Minnesota is passive.
Yeah, it really is.
They really don't want to tell you that they don't like something because they don't want to cause a scene, or maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but it's this, like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I tell people, hey, I'm not a Minnesota server.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't want me to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there's no way on earth that you are going to pay for that.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
If you don't like your experience and you are not 100% satisfied, then what happened and what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And that's what this 20 years has taught me, is learning how to satisfy someone to the fullest degree. The food, Christos comes up to me and says, hey, I'm in charge of the menu now. Awesome. I want to do these things. Perfect. What do you want to do? Okay. So I take your feedback and I listen to, I'm sorry, not your feedback. I take what you want to do to me and my menu, and I listen, and I'm like, okay, well, let me explain to you what I need.
Yeah.
And then you were able to listen to what I needed and take your vision and cater it, but still listen to, I got to say to you, listen to me, be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself, do what you do.
Yeah.
And when I say do what you do, I mean do what you do.
Yeah.
No holds barred. You want to try a sauce, you want to do a certain way, try it out, because you know what? I'm going to tell these people, I'm going to say, look, we're trying something new tonight. I need feedback. Just like anything, we're going to fine tune this puppy. And I would get on stage and I would grab the mic and I would tell everyone, hey, we're building this for the long haul, which means it takes time to get there.
Yeah.
And what is the most efficient, best way for all of us to get what we want? Make everyone happy, and let's do that together. When you can incorporate the guest in the decisions, we're all equal at that point.
That was something that was really cool about that experience, is that it was, like you said, it was a speakeasy, so it was a little bit of a microcosm of what a restaurant usually is. It's like upstairs, for people at home who don't know what Public is, Public was it was basically an event space. I mean, it's huge, especially for the kind of kitchen that we had. So getting feedback in that respect it can be difficult, right? But then in that instance, you're right. You were up on the mic. You were, we were tailoring every stitch of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very cool to see, and it was very cool to be a part of that. You know, I like what you said about being able to still be me and being able to do what I do. I've had a couple talks on here. I had a talk with Laura Lindsay, who's a friend of mine, and she asked me the question of like, you know, does creativity come from abundance or lack thereof? And I said, well, of course, in my opinion, it's the creativity is the lack of abundance, right? Like tailoring it to what that was the creativity. Everything else is something that I learned from somebody else that somebody taught me. That's not the creative part. The creative part is making sure that whole experience fits together, right? So like I say it all the time, you know, you need to get out of the way. But that's where, for me at least, the magic happens, right? When people are like, you know, oh, you can't do that because it's French and this is an Italian restaurant. Well, hold on.
Yeah.
It's like if it's harder for me to do, my creativity gets to bloom.
Yeah.
If I have less tools,
Yeah.
my creativity gets to bloom.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, I want to tailor it to you. I also want to tailor it to my Italian chef, right?
Yeah.
I also want to tailor it to, you know, like what Brian's doing with Gnome. You know, we thought that it was going to be a little bit different, right? We talked at length last week about how different it's become, but we started with this like idea of this like heavy fermentation, you know, Norse kind of cooking, and it's like, okay, now I get to go and I get to search the arcana for this beautiful, you know, this is a way that they did dumplings in Sweden and this is a way that they did dumplings in Denmark. Let's do a version of that, and then let's ferment the cherries and then we'll do a sauce like that. That's where the creativity is, and that's something that I really appreciated that I got to do with you, is that I need that feedback. I need those boundaries. Otherwise, it's going to be, you know, here's a giant steak.
It's true. I mean, if you don't have everybody needs direction.
Yeah.
I need direction. That's why when you come to my table, you know, my first thing that I'm going to say to you is, you know, have you driven this road before? Have you been on this road before? Have you been here before? I've never been here before. I've never been here. I've never walked up in here ever.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, guess what? I got your back.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how to drive on the road. I'm going to tell you how many pebbles are on the road.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you where the divots are. I'm going to tell you how wide the road is. I'm going to tell you where the wines are. I'm going to tell you where you can take a left, where you can take a right. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about that road so that when I walk away, that you drive that road being as confident as you possibly could. And guess what? I'm going to be at the end of that road waiting for you to meet me there.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, let's go cruise. And that's the point. I want you to be able to get the direction that you need, but I want you to be able to, I want to teach you how to fish.
Yeah.
That's why I ask why. My father, huge mentor, look up to him very much, my mother and father. But my father was a very, 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 very deep, introspective human being. And his whole thought process on how he approached human beings in general was just so pure. And he showed me a lot of times where getting an understanding of something and having direction on something would like give me the things that I needed in order to be the person that I needed to be.
Yeah.
And you guys are, like I said, incredibly good at what you do. But everybody needs a little bit of a rein. Everybody, including myself all the time. At Hog, my folder, we always make a joke about it. Everybody's is just this tiny little guy. Mine's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just huge.
Yeah.
But the amount of heart and soul in there is just, it's huge, because I had the direction of where to go, with still having the reins off me, you know. Watching you guys do what you do, with simple things. And for instance, I actually was thinking about this while you're speaking about this too, was I make music and I use loop pedals, and I didn't study music. I'm not, I don't know notes to save my life, but I'm a musician.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Right.
I would use a single loop pedal, which is meant really for like guitars and stuff, looping and stuff like that. But I would plug everything into this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Yeah.
We're talking keys. I would put a mic, and I would stand in a corner of a room and do a sound. I would do so many things. By the time I was done, this loop of 16 beats, maybe a 30-second loop, had so much love and time put in with sound that you couldn't tell where the sounds were anymore.
Yeah.
And it was so thick and beautiful. And it, you know, when someone would be like, so you're a musician, what do you do? I'd be like, I just use a loop pedal and put stuff around, you know. And they'd be like, oh, I guess show me sometime, you know. Yeah, exactly, you know.
Throw down, dude.
Yeah, I'll come to whatever coffee shop you're playing at, man. You know? For sure.
Yeah.
So it was, but my favorite music I've ever made was some of those pure sounds. And now I know how to make music and produce and, you know, go on GarageBand and, you know, Logic and do those things and set it up. And I know how to produce a song now at this point. But
I have like a really I have my own love of what you just said.
Cool.
Let's take a quick break and
Sure.
we'll get deeper into
Let's
it.
do it. This is such a shitty time.
Do not watch this. I'm bullshitting throughout the whole
I
thing.
hated it. Calling my parents and shit. I'm like, do not watch this shit. I'm not proud of this.
Dude, I don't know.
I do not want to link to this.
Dude, he only has Canon SX 740. This fucking guy. No,
They're like the chopped salads of the cameras.
So, no.
Oh, side note, wait. Okay, I'm looking directly at the camera. Here's the deal. Christos won't say this. I'm going to say it for him, okay? I would like your help, and I will set it up. I'd like to do a GoFundMe, and I will put down my first initial. I'm not promising the amount. It's because it doesn't matter. Anything a little bit here or there, if you do tips and stuff, especially my front of the house people, if you have tips, just like a 5 or 10 here or there, let's get him 3 new cameras, because the thing with what he's doing with these podcasts is the battery life on all of these cameras lasts 30 minutes each. So that's why he does his pauses, which is awesome because it gives everybody a chance to take a break. I actually took a 40-minute shit. It was amazing. But the point is that with these cameras, if we can get some new ones for him, it gives him the opportunity to really sit back and relax, because he's kind of getting up and doing some stuff. And you can see that he gets a little bit of anxiety about it, but he won't say anything. But let's help him out. Let's get some. I'm on it. We'll get her going. And then let's get him 3 new ones so that he can enjoy himself, because he's going to school full time. And we got your back. So I appreciate the voice, dude. Much. I love you, man.
I love you too, man.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into what you just said about music, because it's, you know, it's exactly what my cooking career has been. So, you know what I mean?
I do.
I mean, I just told you the
we
first
should just
2 places
soundtrack
that I
it,
worked.
brother. Do you?
I
got you.
I mean, we're talking, you know, diner, working front of house, and then going to D Spot, and what a lot of people don't know about. You know, do you know D Spot?
I do know about A, B, and C. I do not know about D Spot.
All right, so D Spot, I had Darren on the show, and he's like my first chef mentor, and he has like, you know, over 480 flavors of chicken wings. So he's classically trained, places up in
Did
Oakdale.
You hear that, Aaron Dodd?
I'll give you the address. I'll make sure that you get there. But it's like all of the techniques that he uses for the sauces are the same that you'd use in a classic French kitchen, in an Italian kitchen. He went down to Jamaica and staged, and that's where he got his jerk rub from. So that's the jerk on the. So I mean, like, going to that, it was like, that's where I was learning to do my loops, but I didn't know what a roux was. I didn't know how to toss a pizza. And every single job that I went to, I was faking it until I made it.
Right?
For a year.
Oh my God. Fake it till you make it.
And I'm talking up until even like the job before you met me, right? Yeah. I was working at Bistro LaRue, and it was a New Orleans style joint. Mm-hmm. And the first 5 months, I had to relearn everything. Right? Instead of a mirepoix, which is onions, carrots, celery, they had Trinity, which is peppers, carrots, onions, and
green peppers.
So he did it with red peppers and green peppers, and we can get into the whole thing.
I'm probably going to get yelled at. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
I'd like to retract that last statement. I'm retracting. This is an official retract.
But that's the thing is, like, at the same time, I was doing music the whole time. I was making my art the whole time. And then I would learn how to produce something. Yeah. Or I would learn, kind of what a chord is. I really don't know much about music. I'm kind of
You're ashamed. Crushing it. You're doing really well.
So
you're doing yeah.
So but that it was the exact same thing for me, man. Is like people would come, they'd be like, "Yeah, dude, I'll totally come to your, I'll have your pumpkin pancake that you did for a special, And then, fast forward 10 years and now I have these like multi-step, I've read books on books and I've been taught by like serious pros.
I think part of it too is our age. Am I wrong on this? Like, I feel like when I was younger, like I was like, get the fuck off me, man. I'm the best. I'm the best. Like, yeah. I'm not even kidding, man. I'm the best server you've ever had. Like, and then you just have this like and then people who were older would be like, do you know how to open a wine bottle at a table? And I'd be like, yeah, you put it on there and like you leave the wine opener for them and they do it right. I mean, no, that's not at all. And sort of these lessons of like just understanding or like even like I said, respecting your work.
Yeah.
This isn't just a braised green.
Yeah.
These are crown daisies. This is a chrysanthemum leaf. There's a big difference. Yeah. I'd like to explain the big difference to you. Those are a big deal,
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have a good story, and I've kind of teased it before on the show. But so I used to work at a place called Victory 44, and
dude, you have been around you ever seen that in Living Color sketch where he's like on the plane, he's got like 7 jobs? Like, bro, you crushed that dude.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you who you are, though. Like, that's where you get your flavor from. Yeah, all these different places.
I'm 27, man. I'm not even halfway through. So it's like
I got another 40 to go until I turn 32, man.
It's so funny because everybody who I have on the show, I'm like, yeah, I used to work with this guy. Like everybody's like, oh, okay.
Dude, you are the Kevin Bacon. You are the Kevin Bacon of our restaurant world.
Oh,
you know
my God, dude. Okay, so
6 degrees to Christos.
That might be. So I always joke about having merch on the show, but I kind of like having like the 6 degrees to Christos.
I want
shirt.
it. I'll take 2%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not asking much. I think 2%'s pretty good.
Good, because there's not going to be much to ask for. Okay, so the story goes, I was talking to Chad. Chad was my chef at the time, and I saw an interview of I think it was like an actress or something, and she had just won an award, right? And it was
I can't think of it.
It was like a SAG award or something like that, right?
Okay.
And she was interviewing, and she's like, I remember when I decided I was going to get this award, right? And I was like, and she was like, I was this age, and I'm like, I'm that age, And then, so I'm like watching that, and then I go to work, and I tell Chad, I'm like, I'm going to be a James Beard Award winner one day.
Dude, awesome. Do you still feel like that?
The waterfall of rage that followed that comment, like, I mean, it wasn't just nitpickiness. It was like, you know, he was like, dude, I asked you to count how many scallops we had yesterday, and you like kind of peeked in the cooler and guessed.
You were late to work today. Okay, you were fucking late to work today.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
That's
and you didn't clock
what it
in, so now I have to clock your ass in and adjust your time. So go fuck yourself, you and your James Beard Award.
Yeah.
Great, good job.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's very much, I mean, the age has definitely changed a lot of things. You know, and you know a little bit about my story. I mean, I was humbled pretty heavily when, you know, everything went down, and, you know, a lot of people died because of my fucking actions. So, like,
wait, what?
Yeah, you don't know my story? You know I'm sober, right?
I do, but I didn't know that they died because of your actions.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, well, we'll put this on the show. I think that it's, you know, people...
And by the way, I went sober about 9 months ago.
How you feeling?
I feel great. I want to be very clear about something, too. I fucking love this industry.
Yeah.
And I cherish it. And in no way, shape, or form do I judge anyone for anything that they're doing in this industry at all, in regards to like drinking and going over the garbage can and smoking a bowl or like just all the crazy stuff, or doing a line in the bathroom like years ago because you were stressed out, or just something stupid where you're, or just, it's a crazy industry and this shit is around. I am a person who simply said, I personally don't feel like I'm who I'm meant to be in this world when I'm drinking and continue drinking. And I chose to decide that aspect of my life has caused more negative impact than it has caused positive. And when I'm not drinking, I've only seen positive stuff happen. And so I decided that was the best for me. Now, when it comes to how I approach my coworkers and how I approach them, my best friends, they supported the shit out of me. And they had my back from the minute I decided to do it. You know, and they will forever be the people that saved my life. Just like if I was drinking, they also saved my life my entire time. My service industry family has saved my life countless times. And drinking to me was the first time where I said to myself, or when I quit drinking was the first time I said to myself, now I can work on giving back to the industry that took care of me. So I do have things that I'm working on. I do have projects that I'm interested in that we can get into later. But the point is that I have so much appreciation and love for the people that were around me that didn't judge me while I was trying to figure this out, that I am 1,000% there for anybody who is going through that, regardless of where they're at in the process.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't care whether you got shit-faced, you were face down in the kitchen with your ass out and the oven halfway down because your hand's on it, and there's a bottle of Cabin still twirling on the counter. Pizza's still probably not out of the freezer technically because it's kind of half there. Like, I don't care what happened.
Yeah.
I'm there for you. And you know, for anybody out there that's struggling and doing that, do whatever works for you. I didn't go to AA. I didn't have a sponsor, but that's because it worked for me. For people who need a sponsor, get a sponsor. For people who need AA, go to AA. Be around people, but talk about it too. You know, be open about it. But people accept me for who I am now, regardless of who I am, regardless of what's going on, and that's all I needed to hear. And once I heard that, it was over. So.
You know, I'm totally on the same page. This industry has like completely, I don't know, it was the cushion to my fall, right?
Yeah.
Because so when I got sober, you know, I had been homeless for quite a while, and it's like I was facing 3 felonies. I was, the last restaurant that I was at, I was selling glass out of the basement.
Yeah.
And like pounds of it. I'd have like, I'd have a group of these people who clearly weren't coming to eat, and then we'd go down to the basement, and I wasn't even working there, right?
Yeah, right.
And then when I got sober, the chef that I was working for he's like, "Oh, you're sober? Oh, come on in. Here's your job." And then the next job after that, I got because of him. And then years down the road, we started this show together. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm totally on the same page there. It's been I talked with Kate a little bit about this of Craft Made Aprons. Check her out. She's dope.
So funny story about Craft Made Aprons.
Yeah.
Kate's apron company is probably like, if you go look at these aprons, it's mind-boggling how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
So we opened Handsome Hog, we got some Craft Made Aprons, and the top part of mine, which is a neon orange, has started to come loose because I carry a lot of shit in my thing. I want everything. You need a microwave. Hey, got one right here. Got a converter too. Like I got you. And it came loose over time. So I would put sticky stuff over it, like literally duct tape, keep it there. And I was like, I need to get this figured out. So I got a hold of Kate, and I was like, Kate, can you fix this for her? And she's like, I didn't make that shit. She's like, I didn't make that. And I was like, oh my God, I just would have assumed but it's hilarious because she has the greatest stuff ever.
Yeah.
And like, I only want to buy from her. Yeah. And so I would highly recommend it. And yeah, I'm interested to hear the story, but
we'll tag her and all of this.
Yeah,
man.
tag her.
Yeah, because I need to have her back on the show. The first time around, things were a little shaky. I mean, we had a great conversation, but I was still learning the editing process. There's all kinds of problems with the show.
You were the very first Simpsons. Remember, if you ever look at the first Simpsons, it just looks, I mean, you're just like, damn, man, like, that's just how it is. Like, it's just like you said, everything's an evolution. Everything is getting better, tighter, nicer. It's just how it is.
So
we're going to get you new cameras. Get you new cameras. Hey, go fund me.
Help! No. So, no, when I talked to Kate about it, because she's doing Project Black and Blue, we would talk about kind of the move to sobriety for people is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a real hard time getting back in the groove of things and learning how to live every second, because I was a heroin and meth addict. It's like, and it was the kind of thing where, service is about to start, you got to go knock on the bathroom door to wake Christos up because he was nodding off.
That's a whole nother world. So hearing your viewpoint is, I'm literally sitting on the couch just like intently listening, because that is, I can't, there's such different, each drug is different.
Yeah.
And what it does to you affects you in a different way. If you've got an alcoholic, they may not be asleep in the bathroom, but they may be hiding in one of the rooms trying to slam shots or something. I don't know.
Yeah, really, I've found the problems with alcohol tend to be more insidious, and then you find out about them. Like you realize that all these things are done wrong, like 8 months down the line, or like this person isn't performing in like these tiny simple ways because he's fucking hammered all the time.
Yeah.
And then you see when they get sober how much more gangster they really are, because now the level they're functioning on. With me, it was more of like, how are you even here right now, right? Like I'm like fucking, if I'm gacked out.
How did nobody like?
We were all doing it.
Okay, that makes sense. See, that makes sense. I feel like now we're at a point where I think things are a little bit tighter. I think we're looking out for each other a little bit more, to the point where it's like, hey, man, because within the industry, we were seeing people dying. We were seeing people overdosing. We were seeing shit happen where you were just like, holy. And it makes sense, because when you live in a party atmosphere and you're continuously doing this cycle over and over and over, it gets lost. You get lost in like keeping a tab on somebody who's on the edge because you yourself are just trying to stay afloat. And when everyone's doing it around you, it's like, who's the one that's the weakest at this point that we need to focus on, because you don't know. Everyone's fucked up.
Dude, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Sure. Okay? So I'm not going to say who this person was, but I was working at a restaurant. We were all doing meth, okay? And one of us, the leader of all of us, right, the head chef of the place, one day he was like, we had these waitresses who, you know, moonlighted as strippers and escorts and, you know, sex sells, right? And I was pretty young at the time, and I was kind of, you know, into them, right? The mouthpiece caught me for sure. And he was like, yeah, let's all go out to the casino, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. I got to close up here, and then I'll meet you out at the casino. So I close up, and by the time I get to the casino, I notice that he's asking the waitresses for $100.
Oh,
right,
no.
At the tables, right?
Bad sign. Bad sign.
So, and yeah, and I'm just getting there, and I'm the sous chef, so I'm like, I know like what this guy's personality is like, and I also know it's like I know the gambling world, and at that point I just knew that things were bad. So I grab him by the back of the shirt, and I pull him to the side, and I'm like, dude, how much money did you spend? Yeah. And I swear to God, dude, I'll never forget this. I was super fucked up at the time, but I'll never, ever forget it. He goes, all of it. I spent all of it, man.
Oh, no.
I spent the money that we were going to use for produce. I used, I cashed out the card for Restaurant Depot. I cashed out everything. He's like, he had lost like, I don't know, like 13 grand in a matter of a couple hours playing like blackjack. So I was like, okay, well, we got to get it back, right? So the waitresses had a duffel bag of ones, right? And they're like, we have a duffel bag of ones.
The only way to travel with ones.
Probably about
in a duffel bag.
Yeah, we probably have like 300, 400 in ones, but it's in the trunk of our car. So I drove them, from Treasure Island back to St. Paul. Treasure Island Resort and Casino. So then we grab the duffel bag, go back to the and of course I start gambling. And I'm decent at blackjack.
It gives you a say. People will always go to the damn casino and they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, go do some black. You get a say. You get a say. Don't just chuck your money in a slot. You get a say.
So I gamble.
What happened? Please tell me.
24 hours into it, because we're going up to the room and we're hitting the bubble and then we're coming back down.
Now, have you paid for the room?
He paid.
So like prepaid for the room?
Yeah.
Now that's huge. Yeah. Okay, that's huge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could do with no food, but no room.
So 24 hours, right? Now, granted, this is 24 hours in. The executive chef is there. The sous chef is there. The head of the front of the house is there, and 2 other line cooks are there with us, and we're all like trying to make this happen. Whoever's hot, we're dude, we're hitting all the tables, right? Like it took 3 days, no sleep, nothing, and I think we got like 8 of it back.
Wow.
So
wow, that's incredible.
So then I come back, and like his mom was like, she was kind of like the progenitor of the place. She was like the management, kind of behind the management. And so like we show up, gaunt, just absolutely like clearly fucked up, right? Like I've been up for probably 5 days at that point, and everybody's just pissed at me, and I'm like, you have no idea what I've fucking done for this goddamn restaurant.
They're like, yeah, well, we don't care. There's 146 covers. We're down a host. We're missing the food runner. And we're pretty sure that the person on the deep fry never turned it on. So we're fucked. Okay.
And I'm like, and I'm just going, Yeah, but we have produce now.
Oh, see.
And I can't talk about it, right? Because this is all shit like you can't talk about. I can't tell people about this.
That's the hardest thing about our industry too, is there is an absolute tight-lipped mentality when it comes to how we keep things, but that's because we know the stress is so high.
Yeah.
It is such everyone always talks about waiting. They always talk about Slam and Salmon, blah, blah, blah. They talk about just a touch about Vanderpump Rules, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of truth to the shit they're showing on there in some essence of what's going on. That first initial pre-shift, the unknowing of what the fuck is about to happen, and then the punch in the gut of the service, where shit's going smooth, shit happens. Shit's going smooth, something happens. And then all of a sudden, it's that last call for food. And once, regardless of whether you pump into happy hour or not, it's just entrees are done. And did the servers get their last call? Did they, please tell me they got their damn menus down and they got them up. Please, I need a count, please. And we'll do it. But that come down, and then everyone comes in the back. You grab a little bit of food, you shoot the shit. People go have their smoke breaks. It's just and then you come back in and you fucking crush it again because you got to clean this shit. You got to do it all over again tomorrow. And when that sort of stuff is happening on this high stress level, when people are coming in and we're tightly, as long as they can handle their shit, you're just like, yeah, so what? I watched him pull that Jack Daniel bottle and take it fucking down. And guess who fucking crushed my pork chop tonight?
Yeah.
Same dude. And that is where you get into a point where it's like, to each their own, do their shit, that's fine. But when you get into like that sort of like the whole back of the house is involved together, then it's like, man, you guys got to check yourselves. You got to check yourselves. Because you're fucking our shit up. And just like when the front of the house is fighting, when the front of the house is fighting, they're being a bunch of assholes. And also, I want to talk about this too. The disparity in money between the back of the house and the front of the house.
Yeah, let's talk about that, dude.
Let's talk about that.
Hold on.
We got...
No, let me re-hit the cameras.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's do 'em.
Hashtag GoFundMe. And then I don't want to interrupt this conversation.
Because that's a good one. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, so let's talk about the disparity between front of house and back of house. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I want to make something very clear. It is not fair. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
It is not fair. There is people that are human beings that have families. There are people that are in the back doing things that you have no idea are happening at hours of the day that you have no idea exist, that these people are taking care of shit simply because you need a sauce on an entree. They are taking hours to take the dishes that you have taken and thrown in the dish pit. I was a dishwasher. I loved it. And I still love it. People who know me know full well that I'll be one of the first people to jump in the dish pit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter where you are in that restaurant. You are so important. When one thing isn't working, it 1,000% affects everything.
Yeah.
And you are only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
Education, knowledge, expectations, standards, values, morals, how you approach your restaurant is seen from every angle possible. That's why I wore this shirt. I don't know if you can see it. It says perspective on it. Because it isn't about you. It is about the person and their perspective of what they think is going on.
Yeah.
And the back of the house, for me, over time, because I started at Baker Square in the back of the house. I was a line cook for 2 years.
Yeah.
16 years old, walked in there. I was working with, a couple crackheads, no joke,
Yeah.
literally. And one who, he had some mental issues. And, it was apparent. And to be 16 years old running a kitchen with these guys, because I'd grown up with a father who demanded, it isn't a robeless job unless it's 110%. That's, you leave letting people know that you're getting a quality that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
And sitting there and understanding that mentality correlates with everything, then you bleed it back onto everyone that surrounds you and how you do what you do. I can't be who I am without you guys if you haven't done the shit that you need to do. And the fact that I'm selling something that took you guys hours to do, and I'm getting however much percent on the top. I am lucky to average around that 35% area because I love what I do. I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm only as good as the people I'm with. And it allows me to take my job and take it to a whole nother level. And then at the end of the night, that money that I've made, that's money that literally could be rent for a person in the back of the house. And that is tough to see.
Yeah.
And not be acknowledged. Because by law, I can't sit there and say, you have to put this amount of money in. You need to do this. We literally have to pull this within ourselves and do what we do. I can't expect to say, hey, you made $600. Take 200 of it and fucking pass it out.
Yeah.
Give a 20 over to Chris over there. He's fucked up his car, man. He can't even get home. He's riding the bus. You got, Daryl over here. Daryl takes the chicken home every night. The extra chicken. Do you think he's doing that for a reason? No, he's taking it because he wants some extra food for the house or the fam, bro. Throw him that extra little bit. Do what you need to do. Take care of your dishwashers. Give them $30, $40. Like, I need my silverware to get out of there. Who do you think is going to clean it? Just because I tipped out my food runners and my hosts, that doesn't mean that those guys in the back of the house aren't sitting there going, man, I fucking did all that stuff, and this dude's walking around counting money in the kitchen. You got the balls to count money? Sorry. You got the vagina and balls? I don't know how this works, but
Dude,
I think
the pen
you've got the
that?
guts. You've got the guts to count money in front of individuals. Yeah. You've got the guts to complain about a tip. You've got the guts to sit there and bitch about something that's going on with your tables and how it affects your finances in front of individuals that are just trying to be their own chef and create their own art.
I'm gonna piggyback off this because
tell me, please. Go for it.
So what you said, I fully agree with it. And then you have this culture in the back of the house where you're not doing this for the money. There's been 3 jobs that I've spent at least more than a month working for free at.
Right. Staging.
Stage.
I'm going to stage. We're going
my
to take
art.
free labor, for
Yeah.
this art, which is a great concept if you're trying to learn something and see if you want to be a part of a restaurant. But to take a month of that, you know, and put your life into I don't know how that works, but how are you not getting money for this?
And then what happens is that sets the bar so low that when you get the minimum, you think that it's a gift.
Yeah.
And then you work hard to become the sous chef, CDC, executive chef to get put on salary. And you're making $30,000 a year and you're working 90 hours a week.
On a hotline with a sharp ass fucking knife and fire everywhere.
I mean,
it's not fun.
I say it on the show all the time.
I mean,
it's
wait, let me rephrase that. It's probably really fun for you guys. But like, I'm just saying that it isn't a smooth cubicle you're sitting in.
Yeah, dude, it's a recipe for addiction is what it is. I mean, it's like, because I've been lucky to be able to do that and move things on the side, right?
Yeah.
Lucky and unlucky in various ways.
Sure.
But I was able to finance this incredibly irresponsibly financially irresponsible pathway through like criminality, just straight up.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes and talks to you about like, you need to blah 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 and blah 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 blah, and it's like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that. I was up till fucking 3 last night fucking selling balls, dude.
The approach, there's the whole like it's back of the house versus front of the house bullshit. Fuck that. It doesn't need to be that way. At the same time, it's the truth.
Yeah.
There really is a front of the house and there really is a back of the house, and they're vastly different. You have to appreciate the difference between those two.
I think where it gets important, like the important thing to do to stop that versus mentality is the acknowledgement of it.
Exactly. Acknowledgement, but also the appreciation. So for instance, when I go back there, I look these guys in the face, I look these girls in the face, and I say, everyone, I need to tell you first off, thank you. Thank you for crushing it tonight. Thank you for everything that you do. The minute that I can do anything for them, I'm on it. It doesn't have to be, hey man, I bought you that beer, right? Thank you. What? You bought me a fucking Coors Light? And how much did you guys get that for? A sixer for what, 50 cents? Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
It's more than that. If you're walking with a bunch of shit, servers sometimes will just walk by you. Open the door for them.
Yeah. Open
the door for them.
Yeah.
You're going to the bodega. We have an awesome bodega next to our place. Awesome bodega. I mean, you could say, I need a doll's arm deep fried with in a sardine can, please. And I'd be like, oh, they got it at the bodega. I'll be right back. Do you need 2 or 3 of those things? Like these guys have everything.
Yeah.
But you go to the bodega, guys, can I grab you anything? Not just after I made tips. Before,
Yeah.
Everyone's fam.
Yeah.
Hey, you need a ride home. Let's go. Like somebody, something stupid. One of my coworkers, he's like, man, I really just need a polishing rag for home. Fuck it, I'm gonna go and get you a polishing rag.
Yeah.
One of my other buddies, he's like, I love hats. I went and got him. This is Terry motherfucking Williams. Got him a hat that he could sport.
Shout out Terry.
It's listening to these individuals who you care about and listening to the things that they love and taking care of them.
Yeah.
It's not just about money, and it's not just about grabbing a beer. It's about taking pride in the fact that these are my friends. This is my family, and I love them. I love you as a human, and that's just how it is. And anything that I can do, anything, I will do for you in a heartbeat.
That's really what it is. It's like I've had experiences with front of house people who are very understanding, very appreciative, and then I've had the opposite of that. I've had people come back and complain about the time of the food, or complain about their complaints. They're not feedback, they're complaints.
Yeah.
And that drives a wedge in the kid. I mean, it's like because of everything that we've just talked about, and then you have a bad attitude, and then you're disrespecting my food, right? Like I had a conversation with Taylor Davis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who I love, fan of the show.
I love him.
And at the time at Public, it was kind of like this new guard was being brought in.
Yeah.
It's like I fermented the mushrooms to make these arancinis. Mm-hmm. So this has been a week process for this little fucking ball of rice, right? And you got people out here.
That's insane.
Who don't know what the name of it is.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. I would be lying to myself. And I know Spencer and Alex and Nate and all these boys and Dill would call me out. They would say in a heartbeat, because I'm not great at the knowledge aspect. That is not acceptable. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
You need to know what the hell is in your dishes. You need to know what the hell these guys are doing and what these girls are doing back there. You need to understand, or however you recognize yourself, you need to understand that these individuals, this is their art. And if you're going to portray their art, they don't have the opportunity to come out all the time and say, this is my stuff. This is what I do. I personally, if you have time, and you're a server out there, if you have the time and it's a slower time of service and somebody made something that's a special, have the chef come out and talk to the table and say, this is what I did. Have them present it. Have them do that if they want to. If they don't, and you do it. But if they aren't there, which you should pretend like is always going to be the case, then take their love and present it to the person on their behalf, which means explain the shit that they did.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I fully agree. My main point is mutual quality.
Mutual quality, huh?
I mean, like, if I'm in the back and I'm putting all this work in for what we previously discussed is basically zero money, then you bring it to the table.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's this and that and this and that. And like, you're doing it for a paycheck or you're doing it for a couple, some tips. And you're not bringing the same quality in terms of what you're doing in service, what your job is. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest thing. Like, if you're going to come in here and you're going to look like you just fucking woke up, that's when I get mad.
And that goes back and boils back down to like, who the hell are you hiring?
Yeah.
What are you... Really fine-tune your staff. Yes, just like anything, just like it's happened in the back of the house. You bring someone in, they do pretty good, but they're just not the right fit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the serving staff. There are people that come in, they do all right, they seem like they're great, but then when it boils down to it, they just can't hack it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But, the mutual quality, it starts with putting an expectation of quality from the beginning and saying, hey, you're about to come into, this restaurant. You have 3 minimum shifts of training. You need to, 1, follow someone around and just don't say a damn word probably. Yeah. Maybe you can, whatever. I don't know. Do what you want. But you need to just watch. Watch what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
See how these people are working with each other. Observe. Second shift, you should have studied stuff. You should have understood what's going on, taken this stuff home, and started to learn about some things.
Yeah, but I'll be like real straight up about that. Like we said, I'm fucking Kevin Bacon, and I've been all over the cities, and it's the same everywhere.
Isn't it? But it isn't. And that's the difference, is that some of these new places that are coming around that are independently owned, that are brand new spots, that are hiring front of the house, make sure they understand why you exist. Make sure they understand what your expectation is before you even let them sign I got hired,
Yeah.
The point...
1099.
Whatever the fuck it is. I claim 0. The 1099, when you sign that, you're in. Yeah. And yes, you can quit the job. Yes, you can be done, but you're in. And that to me is like, now it's back on your leadership. How did your leadership get this team? How did they do that? How do they approach them? And that they need, daily knowledge. Pre-shift, talk about a specific dish. Challenge your servers to know that stuff. Challenge them to be aware of what's going on. And also, just like anything in life, you don't want to be humiliated and embarrassed. Back of the house and front of the house, there tends sometimes to be a disconnect. And I will say that sometimes, and I think you can agree with this, is you guys come in swinging hard in a beautiful way.
I'm so guilty of this.
I think what I'm saying is you guys are fucking tough to deal with sometimes. But we're a bunch of whiny brats on the front end, and that's just how it is. So the best way to approach that is, what can we do to stop being such whiny brats and be more understanding individuals? And how can the back of the house slow the pompous, arrogant, egotistical thing that used to happen in the past?
Yeah.
And give us that Bourdain. Give us the things that influenced you. Give us the individual that comes out of you, but also teach us how you did that. But also be open to the idea that, like, yeah, this guy may have served for 20 years, and yeah, it sounds stupid that this guy doesn't know what a roux is. But teach him. He asked you. Or teach her. She asked you.
Yeah,
in a
totally
compassionate, empathetic way.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to see the front of the house start to respect how the back of the house approaches them. And you're going to see more empathy and more understanding. One of my favorite individuals of all time,
Me.
is Christos.
Yeah. But go on. Sorry.
You know I love you. And that's why I'm here. Because you brought on someone who you should have. And I think Chef Aaron Cave is one of my favorite human beings ever, because he listens. Yes, he does what he needs to do. And I've watched him handle his stuff, but he's so open and compassionate and understanding in how he teaches. And that's something that I love about him. And I've seen all these incredibly talented, amazing chefs. There are auras around you. Take, for instance, Chef Brian Ingram.
Yeah.
He is someone that I have incredible, deep respect for.
Yeah.
Incredible respect for. He's sort of this folk hero in some essence, in some little circles, and in things that he's done. Specifically, someone like me who grew up being afraid to be a server because I didn't have health insurance. I was scared to be a server. I felt less than.
Yeah.
People made me feel like shit because that was my calling, to be in the restaurant industry. And people like him and his wife and doing this sort of thing, these are things I hear. Now, I literally ran into him at Bennett's Chop House. I live right across the street. I thought it was him, but I didn't. Like, he's Brian Ingram.
Yeah.
You know? And so I didn't approach him, and I kind of just sat back. And then I listened to him a little bit, and good old Rocky, we all know Rocky from Amsterdam. She's over at Bennett's, and she's bartending. And I was like, was that Chef Brian Ingram? And she's like, yeah, hopefully, yeah, for sure, you know, and then starts telling me, and I started being like, oh my God. So I sent him this message, and I just said, listen, I should have approached you. I should have done this. But deep down, you guys, there's this aura around you. And I know that you would say, I'm approachable. Come and see me. Talk to me. I'm the most open-minded, gifted, like, we're cool. But it's still scary for us. And that will always, we hear the word chef and immediately we think principal. It's just kind of how it is. So I've worked with chefs that have had, excuse me, I coughed. So I've worked with chefs that have been really, I've had an open kitchen. It was a farm to table situation. And there were times where I felt so scared to talk to my chef about something that was a necessity for my table during service. And then when I would, the comments back to me made me feel so stupid.
Yeah.
And this is a server who not less than 3 days ago did a lap dance for a 93-year-old woman on her birthday in front of the entire restaurant, because I love to take things to a different level and be all this stuff, but that little quality doesn't matter to him at that moment. What matters to him is, you messed this up, you did that. And I just think that there's a different approach.
I totally agree. I mean, like, I would say that I'm guilty on a non-purposeful level, like the way that I get very intense.
You are moody. You're fucking moody. You're super moody. And I love that about you. But like, if you're not in the mood, then, you know, any new server, I would be like, just let him just chill for a little bit. He's going to go internalize some things. Let him work through it in his head.
But you also haven't worked with me in terms of a service line all that much.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair.
Like here's my thing.
Yeah.
At Public, we were doing a lot of like revamping things, right?
Yes. While also having a huge space to do lots of covers. It was a lot.
So like pre-shift was like, okay, we need to get through these things, right? I need to tell you these things. And I've been taught by the people who are the abusive guys, who are the chefs, who are, you know, it's like, you need to be right fucking here, looking me in the fucking eyes, right, and listening. And then when I see that people aren't listening, or people are late to pre-shift, or people didn't come to pre-shift, and then they show up and they're late and blah blah blah, and then they have to ask me the question.
So then, how do you approach that?
So
because this is the difference. It's how you approach that.
Yeah. So what I did and what I've done at Public, and I think that you know, it was a beautiful thing at Public, is I took the time. I had my frustrations, and I took my frustrations out with Aaron.
Yeah, perfect punching bag, by the way.
Oh, I mean,
Chef Aaron, just
we love each other.
Yeah, he'll take it, man.
And then I went and I re-explained my shit. Mm-hmm. And then I go, these are the unacceptable things that are happening in this restaurant right now. Mm-hmm. You're coming in late. You're doing all this stuff. And I think that we created an environment where the front of house and the back of house was finally working in tandem. Mm-hmm. I think it's working through that lack of what I call that mutual quality, right? When it's like, you're not putting the care into this.
Don't do all of it at once.
Yeah.
Do it a bit by bit. Think about anything think about anything you're trying to learn. If you're going to sit there and throw 5 dishes at me to learn, and you're going to say you got 5 days to learn them, how about we just do one a day? Let's learn one a day. How about if we're going to work on everything? Here's the thing.
Here, I'm going to stop you there because what we did is we had these are the dishes, right?
Sure.
Like we did Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Right? And we had the menu ready in January.
Sure.
We gave the menu out, and it's time to learn. You have a month and a half to learn.
But then what did you do? You handed it out, and then you didn't expect them to do anything other than to just be prepared, correct?
No, I disagree. I feel like you're talking about something that you don't fully understand with me and how me and Aaron were running that place.
No, meaning I guess
we followed up, we asked questions, but it's like,
did they not study it?
No.
Okay.
And not everybody.
Did you do a test?
Well,
it's stupid how things really boil down to tiny little elementary school kid shit. For instance, that's why you put a checkboard up.
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
And it's like, again, it's going to look like I'm moody, but I'm going to stop you. Okay. You want me to type out a test?
No.
It's like, we want to talk about mother side. I have stocks, I have ferments, I have things to do.
So then it boils down again to, how did you hire? Did you hire people that didn't get that was an expectation from the beginning? Right, why on earth would you have some people that are working for you that aren't there at 4:30 on the nuts because they were supposed to be there?
The vast majority of people are not like us.
True. So then what do you do to help guide them into that right area? I suggested a test, but that doesn't mean you have to do it.
It's about consistency, consistently questioning, consistently explaining it, doing it every day. And I did that. And there were people who follow. I mean, Taylor, right? Talk to him regularly. Play tennis with him when I can, right?
Tennis or real tennis?
Real tennis.
Nice.
Right? It's been a while.
I would like to get in there with you.
And it's like, but that's like he's like a golden boy in that sense. You're like a golden boy in that sense. Even Allie started to come around, right? But it took a lot of effort, and all the other waitresses and waiters there were not following up in that way. This is not their art. This is their side gig. This is their, it's like, this is my other restaurant. I'm not going to study your fucking shit.
But don't you think that is a very, how we doing?
We got 2 minutes.
All right, I'll sneak this one in and we'll take a break, right?
Yeah, and we'll do your shelf.
This, again, is an older mentality that needs to stop. This is no more of this, I'm just going to study the menu enough to sell it. It's about learning about the care and the love. You should be frustrated. It's been years of it. You have every right to feel frustrated. The goal is to give people an understanding of how to change that mentality so that they don't have someone like you who is an artist and is creative, frustrated and with anxiety, and they can take all that energy and make it positive and put it into their dish because they know that they're getting the same mutual quality on the front end.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It really, that is what it's all about for me, because I think that if you talk to a lot of people, especially the people at Public, right, they're like, oh yeah, I love Christos, right? But then there's that one person who never put in the effort, right? And they're
like, Christos is a dick.
Yeah,
he sucks.
Of course I'm a dick. You came in late and you fucked my food up, you stupid fuck.
Well, and that's the whole point is you're allowed to feel that, but that sort of statement, which tends to have happened in the back of the house before, we can see that. It's all perspective. It's how I'm looking at it. You seem mad and unapproachable. If you can turn that, which is tough to do in this environment, so it's not like I'm literally asking you something that's very tough to ask of anyone, but I'm just saying these little things of that mentality will help get you, like, at least thinking about it to start to move in that direction. We're done?
Yeah, let's do shelf.
All right. A little tip of the hat to my Ed and Lindsay and Rick the Ric Flair. So
we're back at it. We're going to the shelf.
Yeah.
And what I do on this show is I have people bring in personal items, right?
I stole all of these.
I love that.
Every single one.
It's the, what is it, kleptomania?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that a festival? I think that's a festival. I think it's an EDM show.
So, yeah, I like people to take what they have on their shelf, kind of show it to the camera, and
sure.
we talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I just start? We'll start. Yeah. Cool. We'll just go along.
Yeah.
So first off, I brought a Hybrid Nation shirt because I know you've been getting a lot of love for the Hybrid Nation on here, which is awesome. But the reason I specifically chose this shirt, and I love their joggers, they're just great joggers, but is the allyship.
Yeah.
Is the continuous process in which someone with privilege and power seeks to first learn about the experiences of a marginalized group of people and then ultimately empathize with their challenges and build relationships with that group of people. You know, I recognize as a Latino, my grandmother's 100% Mexican. She married a 100% Irishman. And then that's my mother's parents. And then on my father's side, 100% Panamanian, married a 100% Polish woman. So I recognize as Latino, but I'm a white dude.
Yeah.
I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
So as much as I feel like I'm part of the people, no, no ifs, ands, or buts. So I myself have been checked. I myself have been racist. I myself have made racist comments. I myself have done things that, not intentionally, to say the words "I'm not racist" is stupid.
Yeah.
I have taken everything since the minute that I started working at Hog, all the way up until the George Floyd protests, everything, and really started to truly understand how I can help and how I can be involved, while still acknowledging the fact that I'm learning. I'm not perfect. It's okay. And that some of these people that made incredibly racist comments out loud on Twitter, stuff like that, were approached by the Black community with knowledge.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful thing.
I agree.
To say, we embrace you, we're just here to teach you why we think this way. Wow. I want to be a part of that. And this group has given me that opportunity. So I 1000%. And with the mentality that hibernation brings to the table, but also just that energy that is ever flowing without it even being about hibernations, just in general, about anyone, anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. I like what it says about like the continuous process, right?
Yeah.
It is a continuous process, and it's something that you do continually. Like we
Yeah.
talked about, you said the Sprint commercial with your childhood birthday party. This is very much the same. It's like, I grew up in a very Mexican community, but that doesn't change anything.
No.
Right? Like that doesn't. Yeah, at that time, there were certain things that I felt were acceptable, or like making fun of somebody in a certain way, as like friends do,
Yeah.
right? That could definitely be considered racist, or at least insensitive in a lot of situations. And it's like, as you learn, now there's no excuse.
There's
Never really was, but
there. How can you blame a human being that has been raised by two individuals that constantly sit there and belittle the Black race, sit there and talk about it, sit there and yell about it for years and years and years and years and years and years, and then this person suddenly goes out into society? Like, come on, that sort of stuff. It impact mental and psychological understanding is so lacking in this world and in this society. We really don't give the time of day to the stuff that happens up here.
Yeah.
This quarantine showed a lot of people. I don't care how much you think you got your shit together.
Yeah.
You're going to break down.
Yeah.
This sucked. This time sucks.
Yeah.
And what can you do other than it hits everybody. Yeah. And your mental and psychological, like the psychology going on in every decision that you make has been impacted by all of this stuff. And you have to be aware of that. And if you're not, then you're detaching yourself from the reality of what's going on. There's so much mental change going on for people saying, I want to be recognized as this. I want to have a pronoun of this and say this. That's what they want. Yeah. That's what they're asking. It's not anything. It'd be like, if you love me, Christos, I'd prefer, instead of calling me Brian, you call me Brian with a Y.
Yeah.
Well, why? Why do you want to do that? It makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's super simple.
It's super simple.
Yeah, it's super simple.
It's super simple.
That's the most frustrating thing about all of it, is like people when you're trying to complicate it and make it complicated, that's when your privilege is showing. It's not that complicated. Just be a good dude.
I can drive and get pulled over by a cop and have weed in my car.
Yeah.
when I'm younger and have the cop pull the weed out of my car and dump it.
Yeah.
And then take my pipe and throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, guys, have a good one. In the suburbs.
Yeah.
You think if you're rolling around doing that and you're a person of color, that would have happened in the suburbs?
Yeah. I know.
In the early 2000s? Let alone any time before that? Probably not. I'm willing to bet my life on it. But I'm not about that anymore. I'm going to be vocal. I'm going to use the platform that I've been blessed with to just be a part of it. And so that's why I grabbed that shirt. That's why I'm a part of it. And like I said, their gear is incredible. So I highly recommend it. But so we got a Prince vinyl. I'll pull this puppy out. So I love vinyl.
Yeah.
Huge fan of vinyl in general. I just love music.
Yeah.
Grew up. My father was a hand percussionist. Growing up, so there's just tons of these videos of me as a child running around in my diaper while my dad would play the bongos to Prince, Gloria Estefan, the Beverly Hills Cop theme song, like just stupid shit. Like It was awesome. Like he's so good at bongos. But I had such a deep love for Prince from a very, very early age, even before I even came out to Minnesota. And one of the reasons why I have so much love for Handsome Hog and the Sutherlands and stuff and Justin is because the night that he passed away, I had really just started establishing myself as like being in St. Paul.
Yeah.
And becoming a part of that artist community and whatnot. But when he passed and everyone went to First Ave, I remember it was like trying to get into the most undercover side party ever that you've ever tried to get into, and just massive amounts of people. And I got lucky and got super close, and Justin saw me, snagged me, waved me in, and I got a chance to go and just be there.
Yeah.
And say thank you. And so the reason today why I make music, which is why this other stuff is on this shelf too. I've got a loop pedal, and then it's a Korg vocal sampler. Vocal sample sequencer. And this really represents who I am in general. Like if you see me serving and running around, I'm singing, I'm dancing, I'm making up things as I go. I'm just having a blast with music in general. And I feel like music is such a universal language. And so I utilize it in everything that I do. Everything. To the point where I even asked Christos if I could play music while we have this podcast, because it means that much to me. So that's why that stuff is there for sure. And then moving into Mardi Gras beads. My family is from Texas and Louisiana, but specifically on my father's side, down in Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Covington. And being in the military and traveling, those are the places we went for the summer. That was home for me, because it was always there. Same with Minnesota. My grandparents lived up here, so we'd come visit Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it felt like home to me.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like a Mardi Gras. There's nothing that can prepare you for it. There's nothing like it for anybody who has ever never experienced it. I urge you to just go out just 1 year, just one day, get out there and see what happens, because it is just such a beautiful experience of everything.
Yeah.
Just culture in general. And so I wear these all the time, especially when I'm serving my tables and things like that, because I want them to understand that I am here to be the host of a party. They just happen to be sitting down. and I'm going to enlighten them on this party. And this is where I go nuts on with these.
I love that. I want to riff with you for a little bit on the Mardi Gras thing.
Sure.
So I worked for a couple of years at Bistro LaRue, Kevin Bacon, and Chef Tim Glover. I've had him on the show, and he is from New Orleans, and he really he was able to encapsulate in that experience, especially for Mardi Gras, in such a small little place in like this little mini mall, right? And we did face paint, we had live bands, we did seafood boils, we did the pig roast, the gator. So whatever we could get into that microcosm, we got in there, right? But you're right. It's like the actual experience is so much more vibrant.
It is.
I was talking to Kedzie Edinger of Moochie's. I hope I don't sound like I'm name dropping. I'm just trying to be.
Oh, you know her? Cool.
Yeah. She's tight.
Free water for you then. Free water.
But yeah, I'm not trying to do that. But but it's immersive. It's a true experience. Now this is the riff part. I was thinking, how Brian has wood-fired grill and keg and case, wouldn't that be the perfect spot for, if you can't get out to New Orleans, that would be the spot to go for Mardi Gras?
That would be great. I mean, those are obviously, it's hard to like plan this stuff and think about that because we just don't know what's going to happen. The future is very uncertain, as much as people want to say it is certain. No, we're getting the vaccine at this date on these days. It's like, do you really know? I mean, let's be honest. Let's see it happen. I need action. So it's hard to plan like fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like anything over in that area, it's just meant to have fun parties.
It's such a
great area.
Space.
It's such a great space.
A good space.
Yeah, we did our smoke out there. I mean, it was a blast. I mean, seeing the Schmidt artist lofts just in the background of the sky, like it's just a beautiful thing. It gives you that touch of old St. Paul, and at the same time, it's like, no. This is a whole new St. Paul that you ain't ready for. The things that they did to that building are beautiful. I mean, I've had friends that lived in there and got an opportunity to go and do tours and see stuff in there. I mean, just inside's beautiful, let alone outside. But the space is meant to have a Mardi Gras party, and it doesn't matter. That's the essence of Mardi Gras in general. It's just people together having a blast, enjoying each other, dressing up. Just you can have a Mardi Gras anywhere.
Yeah, I like that.
And if you want to do it at the table, let's do it at the table.
Yeah.
So what,
Yeah.
So that's my Mardi Gras thing. My next thing too is Crybaby Craig's. So someday in the future, I will be taking my talents to but no, seriously, I will be working with him someday, and I'm proud to say that. He is deeply rooted with the family. He went to high school with Justin, and his story resonates with me in so many ways, and so many different angles, but specifically hot sauce too. My grandfather, Tito, the Panamanian, made this amazing hot sauce that I would, all my life, it was like, even though sometimes we didn't see eye to eye in certain things, like as soon as this amazing dinner would hit the table, it was like him and I time with the spoon and the hot sauce. And I had such a deep appreciation and love for it, to the point where I still carry that jar of hot sauce. Even though it's empty, I still have that jar with me that I keep, because it means that much to me. But that hot sauce I loved. And so when I found out about this hot sauce, I shit a brick. I was like, oh my God, this is the hot sauce that I want on all my food. I like this. This is for me. And then I started to just, I wear the hat and have a good time, stuff like that. And then finally I'd run into Craig, and Craig was like, if you're ever interested in doing some music for it, let me know. And so that's something I'm currently working on, where we would like to bring sort of a musical touch to what Crybaby Craig's is all about. And so I've gotten the green light to work on that. And so there's some projects and stuff that I'm involved in with them that, even though I'll always be with Handsome Hog, which is why that hat is up there, you know, I always will be there. This is a part of it as much too. And I envision the future very much so being a part of that. So,
you know, what that represents for me is, I talked with Ingram last week about the relationships, the inter-restaurant relationships that have begun to grow. And, you know, when, you know, you've been in the business a while, and we didn't get to talk too much on it. We'll talk about it next time.
Part two.
But where I started, it was much more, the support came within your restaurant.
Correct.
And going to another restaurant was sometimes not just a full pot, was like a crime, right? Like, like, how could you fucking, you know, leave and do this? And it's something that I've noticed in general, but especially in this community of, you know, you called it the Justin Sutherland umbrella, but even beyond that, you know, you have
beyond
Yang,
that.
you have you know,
way beyond
St.
that.
Paul, really. I mean,
Yes.
like the community in St. Paul is like, oh, you need this. Oh, you need a cook for this.
He was
you need a dishwasher.
So true. True. He was the key for me to understand. He was my window.
Yeah.
To see into the building that existed. The
Yeah,
Tim
I like
McKee, the Meritage stuff going on in the background, meeting JD. I met Chef JD Fratsky before I even knew he was a chef.
Yeah.
And he was just a nice dude. And then when I found out, I'm like, oh my God, wait, you're my chef's mentor?
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. And like, to meet, you know, Chef Mick, and meet these guys with their spice 14, right? It's not 14 spice 14, correct?
I thought he said it was 14 spice.
14 spice.
I don't know.
I'm dyslexic, so I'm going to throw that out there.
He'll talk about it next week, so.
Awesome. He's on next week?
Yeah.
Dude, so that, and then just what's happened with Brian Ingram and his family, and what they've done with Hope Breakfast, and what they've done with the Gnome being down the street from us, and like just literally meeting all of these chefs, all of these amazing. And if I didn't say your name, it's because I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. But to be honest with you, like, I'm just blown away. Jametta Raspberry, Naomi, you know, meeting these guys and meeting these girls and seeing, like, holy shit, not only are they talented, but they support each other. In fact, right now they have a contest going on for a magazine for these chefs to be in it.
Yeah, the fave chefs thing, I think I've seen.
They're literally putting each other on their pages. They're not even blasting themselves. Yes, they blast themselves a little bit because, you know, come on, let's be honest, you're blasting yourself, but the support's incredible. Yeah. And for me to be even slightly close to that, I'm coming from the suburbs. Like, I understood there was a small Twin Cities service industry. For someone to be in Minneapolis and they're like, oh yeah, I worked with Brian out there. Like, that was common sense. Like, that was common. That happened. But out here in St. Paul, it's not only I just worked with him. It's like, oh, I know that whole family. I know all those people. I know this guy who's done this with these people. All of 7th, like, all those guys that own all those things, McGovern's and all of that stuff. Yeah. They all are talking to each other. And that's incredible to me, to even be slightly close to that, because I'm for once seeing the true understanding of how this is built and what's going on. You know, I do wish, and I think this is what we said we would talk about next time, which is I personally want to be around more females in my workplace. Yeah. I find a huge disparity in what I've grown up with and seeing females in leadership roles. And my favorite bosses of all time have been female GMs, female event coordinators who were my bosses. I work well with that and I love that, but it's been tough seeing how much the struggle is coming from that side, you know, and not only from the chef perspective, but even from the back of the house and the front of the house.
Yeah.
And everywhere. I mean, it's just, we had a little bit of a talk about an instance where, you know, I had a chef who, we're in a incredible place, making great food, doing great stuff, and you've got someone yelling and belittling, you know, a female line cook in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing that sort of stuff, it was just like, what are we doing here? Like, are we a community that builds each other up, or is this a breakdown community? Because if you're going to break people down, I don't care if you're my chef or not. As a human being, go fuck yourself and get out of here. I don't want to deal with that. Do not treat a human being like that. I don't care who you think you are. And when it boils down to it, with everybody and everything, and when it boils down to females and guys and girls and chefs and everything, it's not about status. It's about helping each other be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, it's changed. The power structure has now changed, so people are able to step up and go, this is not cool. But you still have to do that now.
Yeah.
You can't, just because the structure has changed and the world has changed on the outside a lot. I mean, really it has. There has been a lot of progress. That still, like, you saying something in that instance is what's going to facilitate the long-term acceptance of the new culture. Whereas, you know, it's like I've worked. We had a conversation about the Lexington, and the Lexington is like a place. It's a fucking nightmare, dude. It really is. And I think that where a lot of people, myself included, fell short in that area is, for one, I wasn't really aware, right? Things were probably more obvious than I was giving credit, but I just wasn't. I wasn't as aware as I should be. And also, like, when the shit hit the fan, it was like nobody really stepped up and said anything. You know, there was a couple people who quit.
Because fear is a real...
Yeah.
It is... Man, it'll just take energy. I mean, I made a comment one time about how one human being can change the entire emotion of an entire restaurant.
Yeah.
And we made a comment like, look at how happy we are right now.
Yeah.
Because we trust each other, we've got each other's back, and we know how to communicate with each other. And the person that stepped in charge was a person that knew how to communicate and understood.
Right.
And yeah, let's be honest with you. If you can't have the tough skin in the service industry, get out.
Yeah.
We're going to make fun of you.
Yeah.
Because you were late.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make fun of you because not only you were late, but you did this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that means we still love you.
Yeah.
And it's just a way of being like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know,
I still give Taylor shit about his wrinkly pants. Shout out Taylor.
I used to wear...
Don't wear linen if you don't have an iron.
I used to wear a T-shirt all the time. I'd literally wear a T-shirt when I served because I wanted to be the most comfortable I was. And people would give me shit about it all the time because they were right. I should have stepped it up. But, you know,
No, I get what you're saying about the tough skin. Like, it's true that you need that, but this goes beyond that. This for sure goes beyond that. And there's
a difference between tough skin and legitimately watching a human being be broke down.
Yeah. Well, it's what you said, what you quoted with the Hybrid Nation shirt, right? Like, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
It's like learning that, you know, they don't have the same, like, when you make fun of me, right? It means something different to me because I can protect myself. I can be
perspective, brother.
I have powers and privileges that the females don't. So when you are making a joke towards a female in a certain respect, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong with that. So it's not necessarily about them having... I get what you're saying about the thick skin. I'm trying to agree with you and then just, like, explain that this is where we need to kind of show up and be like, no, this is wrong.
There's absolutely the difference between what was being said to this female, you could hear it in the tone.
Yeah, definitely.
you could hear the sense of the lack of respect for what this person was doing.
Yeah.
And it was so palpable that it was so uncomfortable that a couple of us got together and were like, look, we need to say something.
Yeah.
Because this person is coming across like they run the show so much that it's instilling so much fear that it makes it to the point where like something that is an actual like human element, which is treating others the way you want to be treated, treating others as a human being, is being overlooked because you're like, oh, that's chef. You know, he runs a tight kitchen. Man, fuck that.
Yeah.
And if you think that you're going to sit there and tell me that you're my chef and you don't have respect for a human being, something so basic, then I have no respect for you.
Yeah.
Especially the females that are coming in. It should be a warm, welcoming, open point where it's like, look, we know that you have been marginalized. We understand you've been fucked over for a long time. Let's do this. What do you need? How can we help? What can we do to build you up? What can we do to create you from being, instead of a pastry chef, to being a chef, to really running your own restaurant, your own shit? And that's what I appreciate with Jay and all these people that I've been surrounded by, is that all his friends, all his chefs are about empowerment. They're about treating others with respect. They're about the human element of everything. That's why these places that we consider to be work got turned into soup kitchens immediately when shit went down. Because it was like, fuck this. We're a family. Let's take care of each other.
You know, I agree. And I think that the word that really stuck out to me that you said is the empowerment aspect. I think when, like, I brought up the Lexington, for instance, right? A lot of the reason that what went on there and what has gone on in that culture for years and years and years, the reason that that's able to continue is because for the ladies there was no other options, right? They didn't have power. So it's like you couldn't go, yeah, fuck you. I'm just not going to work for you. And there's
probably not a female manager to go talk to. Or maybe there is, but, you know, how much power do they really hold?
Right. Well, and we can get into the deep, you know, like the deep dive on feminism, and feminism from the bottom up is the only way to go, and also females can be anti-feminine, right? So like the major point, what I take out of what you have to say is the empowerment aspect. Yeah. If that woman has somewhere else to go, right? They hold the power and they can go, guess what, fuckface? Fuck you, I'm out of here, right? When they, you know, that's kind of my.
Your fuckface is your go-to. I like it.
It's
that's your go-to.
The alliteration in it is quite beautiful, and so the way, but that's crucial. That's crucial to women in the workplace. Is more women in the workplace in other places, and that's starting to change. And I think that we need to just be as on top of it as possible, because that's the only way things will change. Like, I can't change the management of the Lexington, but I can change the options that people have outside of the Lexington that go, oh, now we don't have that amazing chef because she went over here. I mean, because literally, you know, we talked about... Which has happened. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but it's like, especially in the back of house, it's a fucking... There's this scam predator mentality already. I've been at the tail end of it, right? Where it's like, oh, this dude has me by the fucking balls. Yeah. I have nowhere to go, right? And I you know, it's like that whole fake it till you make it. He knows I need money. He knows I need money. Yeah. He knows I'm fucked up. Yeah. He knows it's like, it's like I'm fucked, right? And then it's times 30 for the female, because she knows if I try to get a job somewhere else, it's going to be 10 times as hard for me to get a job.
Dude,
and then
1,000%.
And then he's going to fucking go onto the, he's going to call the restaurants. And I've seen this happen.
Yeah.
I've had this happen to me where I apply somewhere. That dude hears about it, calls the restaurant and is like, he's a fucking, he's a fucking fuckface.
It happened. Dude, that there's so much like hidden stuff on the back end that like can really fuck a human being. And you're absolutely right when you're talking about, it's 30 times harder to leave that. And that's specifically what happened to this female that we were dealing with, that this coworker, this friend of mine. I mean, she was like, I have nowhere to go. What do I do? Yeah. Where am I going to go? Yeah. How do I get to where I've built myself up to start all the way at the bottom? Leave the situation I'm in just so that I can literally go home and be happy and sleep and wake up and be happy again. When you're going in a fucking cooler and crying, literally crying because you don't have support. Yeah. What are we doing here? Yeah. And I just don't, I have no time for that. And this, that also leads into another thing too. We have persons of color serving, being in the front, doing that stuff. I've been to a lot of restaurants where, I just didn't have any black coworkers that were in the front of the house. Yep. They were not given that opportunity. Yeah. And especially out in the suburbs. The suburbs is incredibly undercover racist. And it's the truth. And anybody who wants to deny it, I'm sorry. But if you'd like to come and talk to me, I'll give you 50 million examples of why I feel that way. But the point is that, being out in the suburbs, dealing with this stuff, I didn't see it. And now I'm in the cities and I'm still seeing it. Yeah. I've got one of the most amazing coworkers and he's a food runner. And I said, hey, dude, I love you, but like, you're meant to serve, man. You're meant to make more than that. You're meant to do more. Yeah. Like you're better than, not that you're better than what you are, but like you have really good potential to like crush it. Yeah. And I really truly feel like there isn't a lot of people that you can turn to be like, this is what it's like, because I'm a white dude that's serving and been serving for 20 years. Right. The only thing I can do is say, hey, I love you. I've got your back. I think you should try it. And not only will you be good, but I will do everything I can to help you get to where you need to be. But you're not going to need help, dude. You're great at what you do. And he was like, no, I'm good. I'm happy where I'm at. Awesome. Yeah. But I wanted to just be like, look, man.
There's an option.
There's an option. Yeah. And not only that there's an option, so but like, crucial. It's not only an option, but like, it's an option you deserve. You're letting an individual know that their worth is far more than they think about themselves. Yeah. And that only comes from hearing another individual tell you to your face, or via email, or via review, that, hey, this is how I feel about this person in a positive light. And then you take all that energy and you're just like, boom, dude, I feel great. That's why when I talk to my younger hosts and food runners, I'm like, guys, I've been doing this for 20 years, but you don't say that. You just say, hey, here's some things that I think you should check out and notice. You already do an incredible job, but I would like you, if you can, take a peek at some of these little things. The servers are crazy about putting their menus everywhere. Snag them on the way back. See if you can snag them on the way back and help us out. Not because you have to, but because I think you're amazing at your job enough to maybe give you an extra thing that maybe you can add on if you want to. And then saying, look, you're the younger version who's about to come in and do all this stuff. My time is going to be up, and it's up to you to kind of take that control and to be what you need to be, and also to have that opportunity with other individuals of persons of color and people of color, and to feel like, hey, I'm opening myself up just as much to allowing them to be a part of this. And it's not even a them. It's just saying that this isn't a they thing anymore. It's about an us, a we. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I've learned, so I still learn every single fucking day. I learn from people who've been doing it before me. I am not the best server in the world. I'm not the greatest, and I'm constantly learning. And anything that I've said on this podcast obviously was from the heart, and I'm sure that there's some things that probably got a little jumbled, but the main point is that I'm learning every day too, and I'm just trying to be the best version of myself, and I'm open to hearing opinions and suggestions.
I love that. Let's take a quick break,
Sure.
and then we'll finish your shelf.
Yeah, let's do it. Remember, GoFundMe. We're gonna get him set up.
Yeah, dude. I need
We're gonna
cameras.
get him set
Get
up.
me up with them cameras, boy.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so let's
Boys
finish
and
up your
ladies.
shelf.
Okay, so we'll finish the shelf. We'll make it nice and quick for you. So, this is just a mask. This is Black Lives Matter, BLM. One thing that I loved about, again, being at the Hog is that I have the ability to be the social conscious person that I am.
Yeah.
So to be able to wear my mask, to wear a vote mask, to wear things, and to be adamant about wanting equality for any human being, regardless of who they are and what they want, and to be able to have that platform, I've always appreciated. So this is just a little ode to say thank you for that, because it meant the world to me. I'm a huge Steelers fan. I had my mother put Terrible Towel in my baby room when I was a kid, and it just gave me insight into like how different things, most everyone's like, yeah, my dad and I, and blah, blah, blah. Like, so it was a really different thing for me to have my mother growing up being such an adamant football fan and being able to enjoy it with her, and just sports in general. So it just gave me insight into like, hey, different people love different things, like from a very, very early age, which was really cool. And also I love their mentality of how they play the game. I play to win the game. I play to be the best at what I'm doing. And I also feel like hard work and a team mentality will get you there. And I feel like they've always been sort of a good example of that. If you hate my team, I get it. But that's just how I roll. So born and bred with those colors. But, and then there's Mario Kart Nintendo 64 up there.
Yeah.
That is up there for a reason.
Yeah, you fucking tear it up, dude.
So not only am I throwing an open challenge out to anybody out there, if you want to run the gauntlet, if you want to run all 4 cups and you think you can get a better score than me, bring it on. I'm ready. But I use it for 2 things. One is to just always remember that I don't care how old you think you are. You're only as old as you really, truly think you are.
Yeah.
I feel like a man, an adult, and I feel like I'm representing myself as an adult for sure when it comes to society. But I love to play Nintendo 64. I love Mario Kart. I love that stuff. And yes, when it boils down to it, using the word boils down to it happens quite a bit. But for me, it just keeps me in tune with the idea of like, look, this is what you've loved since you were a kid. Don't change it for anybody else. And I use it for meditation, as crazy as that sounds. I throw music on and I just drive. I throw her on and I play, and my whole goal is to get first on every single race and just keep cruising. If I don't get first in one of the races, I start right over and keep doing it again. But I think about things. I think about how things should be, where they should be, what's going on, how stuff is, mentality, like goals. Just literally I run through stuff in my head. So it's something that means a lot to me from a spiritual perspective, which is kind of nuts.
No, I like it.
But it's the truth.
No, I
so,
like it.
And then that picture up there is sort of my moniker logo. I go by the name Brothers of Panama. For a long time, Justin, one of my favorite things is he's like, I can't wait for you to work for me so that you can pursue your dreams, because I want you to be able to do your things. And I had just gotten off disability. I'd been in the hospital for 4 or 5 years, and we can get into that next time. But this was my opportunity to like pursue my love, which he made it very obvious. He said, you're a musician. I want you to be a musician, do that. And this was years ago that he told me this. And so to be able to now feel like I'm at a perfect place mentally because I decided to stop drinking and because I know what I want to do. I was supposed to leave and move to San Diego. I hadn't quit drinking yet then. I'd gotten poached hard. I had a hard poach.
Yeah.
And I've been poached many times before, but this one really resonated with me in the sense that I did research on this guy, and he was amazing. I mean, incredible human being, great story. It was in San Diego. What more could I ask? And he believed in me, which is what I wanted to hear. And COVID happened. I stayed. And then George Floyd happened. Ooh. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, these are my people. This is my community. Yeah. I am not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And decided to stay. And now I'm pursuing all the things I didn't pursue before. Art, music, comedy, and I will have a website up, have a place to go do this stuff and purchase and do all these things. And the Crybaby Craigs thing, that music, we're going to knock it out of the park. So keep your mind, keep your ears tuned for it. But the thing is that I want to give back. I want to give back to my community. I don't want, I want to take proceeds from stuff that I'm collecting and give back in some essence, because it's not just about, maybe it is doing a certain event where people can come to, but sometimes I love giving back to an individual that just happens to be with you at that moment. You see somebody riding along and they keep dropping something because they're struggling to carry it or root. I'll pull over and help them out. Maybe not be the safest thing now, but that's the sort of, you know what I'm saying? And so that is the ultimate goal for me, is to give back and celebrate my art. So look for that sometime in the future. And I'd love, hopefully next time when I come back, I'll be able to knock it out. That's perfect, dude. That's how it should have been. And you can still hear without visual right now?
Yeah, so basically we probably just lost all of that on that last segment for the video aspect, so I'll just do it on audio.
Do it on audio.
Yeah.
Do it on audio and then throw a picture of like a pickle up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but we can finish this and then move into next time so we can knock this out, but there's a lot of topics that you and I are going to have an opportunity to speak about, and we have had an opportunity. And the one thing that I guess I want to leave this specific podcast with is that when a human being comes to see you and they sit at your restaurant, find out what their motivation is for coming there. Why did they come there? I heard about you on the radio. Cool. Now I understand where your motive is. So you've heard things, whatever. Or I just passed by and I've had the longest day of my life and I'm starving.
Yeah.
Cool. Then I want to know why. I want to know why. Because if I can understand why, then I can start to understand what you need. Not what you want to get, but what you need. And any human being that sits in front of me is going to walk away from that situation at an elevated, higher, more positive emotional state. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because I, again, have been given the energy to do that by my family and friends and my coworkers. And there's no way on earth I'm going to have you walk in my house and not have an amazing time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and do this and clear from the right and blah, blah, blah this and follow everything by T. It's just embracing why they came there and making the most of it. And listening to what they want. Hey, I'll suggest a bunch of shit. What's the point of fucking suggesting something if you haven't even listened to what they hate?
Right.
We've got a mushroom special. I don't fucking like mushrooms.
Yeah.
So great. I just wasted 30 seconds telling you about a special you don't even like. That's what I'll tell them. I'm like, hey, I want to know what you don't like. I want to know what you do like. I want to know what proteins you're into. I want to know what you had for dinner last night. I want to know, why are you here? What are you celebrating something? The happy birthday song goes great with everything, by the way. I'll throw it out there. Happy Christos is about to get a brand new set of cameras today. Something like that. Just you fit it in, but
I think
yeah.
when
learn why. Why are they there?
I love to hear that, and I love to be on the other side of that coin, right? Because I started the podcast talking about how we met and like how we kind of, I don't know, we gelled right away because I saw that you do that, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you do that and you're able to communicate that, and the back of house is able to communicate with you, mm-hmm. and then you form together for that end, because that is the end you're going for. You're not going for the end of the person, the food writer, mm-hmm. right? You're not going. No. That's not your end. Your end isn't the food writer. Your end isn't the picture. Your end isn't the social media. The end is what you're talking about. Yeah. So I think that my message is, I fully agree with what you're saying, but my message to the back of house is to find the waiter who's doing that, find the front of house person who is facilitating that environment, mm-hmm. and love them. No, I'm serious because that's funny. It's like you said, you've said that I'm hard to approach, but I don't think I was hard to approach for you.
No,
and I think that there's real truth in what I have to say about waiters and waitresses that I love, because that's what they do. They are. It's like we're part of the same body.
We are. You guys are the upper body and we're the legs. Yeah. Straight up. That's how it is. And the number one thing that I tell my tables, and the number one thing that I tell any human being that's about to start training with me is communication. That's it. Yeah. Communicate. Tell your fucking table about what's going on. It's okay. You don't have to throw anyone under the bus. Yeah. But be honest. Yeah. Say, guys, I messed up. Yeah. I'm the one who messed up. I didn't put your order in, but I'm going to make it right. Yeah. Let me go. Obviously, you're hungry. Let me go get you something to start on right away. Let's get you going, and I'm going to do what I can. If there are issues leading up until this time, you keep me posted. If you think, you know what, I can't wait this long, I'll get you a gift card. Like, I don't care what is going on, but I need to know so that I can fix it. Also, same with the back of the house. I want constant communication. I want to know, are we getting low on... I used to get in arguments all the time with the guys downstairs. I'd be like, they're fucking huge briskets. Yeah. When you get down to the last one, just say something. Yeah. Just let us know, because we're flipping this shit like it's, candy out of a vending machine. Yeah. So we need to know that stuff, because then what happens, all of a sudden we're selling stuff that we don't have, and then it causes a turmoil. Yeah. There's constant communication that has to happen. The bar. Hey, the bar is missing the ability to do their tap beers right now. As stupid as that sounds, that literally may affect what's going on with the kitchen. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows how you want to do, but giving people a heads up about what's up will only benefit you, and it's only going to give you insight. And then you can have a chef that's like, look, dude, I appreciate you coming back here and giving me a whole fucking story about what you just told me, but like, let's just be honest. Tell me to fire this shit and we can figure it out later.
Yeah. That's one thing that I really appreciate about Aaron, is that he's able to like walk both sides of it. I mean, in terms of organization, he's gotten even better with it, but he's always been pretty good at, it's like we always have our counts, and you know how much we have, prepped, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at the same time, if there's a mistake, it's kind of like, yeah, we got it. Well, yep, fire that. Yep, fire that. Okay, we're going to fix it this way. Okay, it's like, it's being fluid. But the key in there that we keep talking about is communication.
And knowing communication about timings. Very, very, very important.
I think...
Letting people know, hey, you're overloading sauté. Do you understand when you send in an order of 3 tables where it's all this specific items or these, that you're literally fucking the entire restaurant because you fucked up sauté? Yeah. Those sorts of things are things that can easily be switched out by a server. you know what, maybe I don't suggest that seafood boil, and maybe I just switch it up and I put them in on a rack of ribs.
Yeah.
Those are the things that will make a huge difference, where, again, we get back to the communication and being open to the idea of approaching the people in leadership and feeling comfortable enough to know that they support you to ask those questions.
I totally agree. But I totally agree. And
Ooh.
I will throw the front of house a bone. I think some of that comes with time, right?
True.
Like some of that just comes with the experience of because on the fly, when you're taking that order to go, oh yeah, no, saute.
No.
But that's a higher level, more experienced thing. And it's definitely something that I understand if you don't throw that down. I just, what a lot of people, and I've had, it's like, I've been Sue at multiple places, I've been CDC at a couple places where the leadership in the line, I've seen multiple line cooks, and this is like, hey, to the line cooks, hey guys, like, this is a problem, like, kind of across the whole state. Again, Kevin Bacon is, you're getting mad and you're not communicating.
Yeah.
And that is,
again, that's a high stress situation. It's learning to deal with those. I'm terrible when I'm at a high stress. Ask anybody I work with, because I internalize my list.
Yeah.
My entire list of things that I need to do is in my head. And when someone goes, how can I help you? It sometimes is a point where I have to step back, redo the list in my head, and then say, okay, these are specifically priorities that I can move into the hands of my manager or the food runner who's helping me out or whatever. I'm terrible at it. And in high stress situations, it's hard to expect anyone to get it right. So it's just something over time that I've learned to take a deep breath, step back, and really say, okay, I need to communicate what's going on, or else nothing will get done.
Yeah.
Or we're in the same position and the customer's still waiting and the person still hasn't fired the steak you probably should have had him fire 5 minutes ago because you're telling them a stupid story.
Yeah.
Those are the things you definitely learn over time, but
I can totally agree with that. I think that goes along with like being thick-skinned, right?
There's thick skin.
Being able to admit that you made a mistake is so important, and it takes practice. Like, because while you were saying it, I was remembering when I was at where was it? Italian Eatery. So I was at an Italian Eatery, and the bread station there was like I was doing bread all day. Everybody had a fucking problem with it, right? But like, I had forgot to fire a grilled octopus, and I waited like 2 minutes. I still said, I didn't fire that octopus, I don't have that octopus, but I waited like 2 minutes to say something. And I remember talking to, again, Seth, who started the show with me. Again, he's like, if you had told me that you didn't have that octopus 30 seconds before you did, then I wouldn't have fired this, and I wouldn't have fired this, and I wouldn't have fired this.
Exactly.
So you wasted 10 minutes by waiting 30 extra seconds to tell me that you had that octopus. Because I told him about it. I was like, it was 2 minutes before you had called it out. I said yes, and then I looked back, didn't have it, right? And so, like, that's just something now, like, at Public, and I hope I gave this impression to you, especially, like, when we were downstairs. Downstairs, sure. It was not high intensity.
No, it wasn't.
High
No,
volume.
No.
But when we would get thrashed up at up in the upper kitchen, I think that it's just, I don't have that.
Yeah.
What? I don't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to, it's that instantaneous ability to go, I made a mistake, I don't have that. I've had waitresses come up to me and they're like, I don't know what happened, blah blah blah. It's like, doesn't matter, we need to get it done right now, that's okay, whatever, we'll deal with it later.
It took a while, and it takes a while to get there. That was built over time. When I walk up to my chef and I say, I need this now to this table here, it's a herd, because he knows that I'm not wasting time, and that I will tie up the loose ends.
Yeah.
But we both know how valuable time is.
Yeah.
And that is part of being at, that's why you look to the people that have been there the longest and you ask them, how does this happen? And you don't expect it right away. You earn the opportunity to come up.
Right.
That's why, there are some people that are servers that'll come up and they disregard your chef or your expo on the line and they'll just talk to the whole fucking line. Yeah. No, yeah. Unacceptable.
That's just a nightmare.
Exactly. So nightmare. You come up and you call to the chef. Chef, may I call? Sure. This is what I need. This is what's up. Done. Boom. Moving forward. And those are the things that where because I had an awesome chef, because my chef Matt Green's amazing at what he does, his communication's incredible. And I appreciate that I can ask him for this stuff. We can get to the point. And then he can come later and say, hey, bud, what happened with that? You rang in a Hush Puppies, but you asked for 6.
Yeah. That's
a $12 item, not necessarily a 10 like you rang in. And I can say to him, hey, bud, I hear you. I got triple sat. I ended up also taking care of a couple other tables that were in my section. Plus I did this and this and whatever. Yeah. My mistake. You know how I roll. And he's like, done. Yeah, good. Yeah. But after service, that's something you earn.
Yeah.
So it's not something you can just go and grab. And for anybody coming up, you take your time by slowly seeing how your chef works, but also asking them, when is the appropriate time? When do you want me to ask that? Prep them, find out what would you do if this shit happened?
This is one of those things where the old school way of doing it, there was a point to it, but...
We got 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go serve the shit out of a bunch of people in the
dude,
most beautiful way.
Let's cut it off here, dude. We have a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, let's do this. And then we're going to come back.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. And we'll come back and crush this. And again, thank you. I really appreciate you and love you for giving me a platform and those that I look up to and consider idols, to watch them do their stuff on your podcast, familiar stuff. I really appreciate it. And this has been cool. And I'm excited to come back after seeing this first one and kind of get a little bit more fine-tuned and come in with some more stuff. That'll be great.
Yeah, I love it, man. I thank you so much for doing it. It was a really great time. We had some good conversation, and that's what I want this to be. I'm glad that I can give a platform to other people, but the truth of the matter is it's just a small show, and we're just chatting.
In your mind.
Facilitating culture.
In your mind, but
facilitating culture.
Yes, and I love being a part of it. So I'm at Handsome Hog Thursday through Sunday nights. You want me, come and grab me. Put me on, Brian with the Y. Let them know. But no matter who you get at Handsome Hog, I fully 1,000% believe that you've got a great human being in front of you who can do a wonderful job regardless of whether I'm there or not. So
I love it. All right.
All right, dude.
All right. See you, man.
Much love.